Right, welcome to this terrain video. A lot of people have been asking, could you show us from start to finish how you set up a table? So I'm going to do that here. This is the new battle mat here from Gamemat.eu. It's 60 by 44 inches in size. And it's called Imperial Refinery. It's available now, it's just come out on their website. But in this video, I'm going to build this terrain up, show you from start to finish. We'll go with the foundation, the main structures, placing them around the board. And then we'll build up the other layers and the finishing touches as well, just to create a really immersive table. So there's a link below for Gamemat.eu. They do a really good variety now of battle mats in all shapes and sizes. They also do double-sided mats as well, so you can get a design printed on each side. You just flip the mat over to have a different design. And then they also do pre-painted terrain sets, which I'm going to feature one of those sets here in this video, so you can check them out, link below. There's also an 11% discount code that you can use, that's across the store for all of their mats and terrain. So I'm a big fan of battle mats, and if you're not wanting to spend much time on terrain and storage and so on is an issue, then mats are great because you can just roll this thing up. It comes with a carry case, and then you just need a flat surface to put the mat on top. So this is your foundation, this is the starting point. Great thing about the mat is just need a flat surface. There's no previously you could make a table, paint it all up and do all this work yourself, but a mat you can just roll it out and use straight away. It's the mouse mat material, so it rolls out nice and flat. Make sure when you store it you keep it rolled up properly, otherwise it will get creases and so on, so just look after it when you store it and put it away. It's nice and quiet for dice rolling, figure friendly when the models fall over. And once that's rolled out, there's your foundations. Immediately, the colours that you can see on the screen is the kind of colours you then want to match in with your terrain. So the first thing I try and do is always try and get my mat to match in with whatever terrain I'm going to use. So thankfully I do. I've got the industrial terrain set. I mean, look at this. The colouring on this matches perfectly. This is from Gamemat.eu. Look up the industrial terrain set. It's one of my favourites. It comes painted, pre-painted in this kind of colour across here. I've since added my own colours, done some extra chipping, but it's kind of that colour there, which will match in with this just nice. It's in the video description below. I will leave a painting tutorial for you, showing you how to upgrade the industrial terrain. It's quite easy to do, and once it's done, it just enhances the terrain from Gamemat.eu. But it's you get this structure here. I've added this walkway on top as an extra structure. I'll mention the walkways a bit later on as part of the accessories you can use. They also supply you, which is great for blocking out line of sight, and that's these containers. You get that in the industrial terrain set. Again, I've done a bit of extra paint work on these, but it comes to you in that kind of colour across there. You get 4 of those. You get these as well. So understand going down this route is sort of the narrative route. For competitive, you're sort of alternating and placing terrain and so on for that kind of direction. But if you're going to go with pre-set up board, then this is the video for you here. So I've seen a place where this could go. I think it should just sit just here. And the way that just sits beautifully with this grid, these paving stones across here and all this industrial work just leading up to this terrain piece, it just looks fantastic across there, and you've got all these other bits as well. So really fitting in nice, and very happy with the way the terrain and the board, the colour schemes are just complementing each other. So I don't want to start doing, you've got to watch out for things like this as well. You don't want to start blocking off whole areas of the board. You've got to think of units, tanks. What's the widest tank that you're going to be using? A Land Raider? Can it get through the gaps? In which case, leave enough room, try and be fair. You don't want units being isolated and blocked off. Again, that's not fair when you're playing the game. So I'm going to look for an even spread. I'm going to use the industrial terrain set from Gamemat.eu, and then I'm going to mix it in with some Games Workshop terrain, some of the AdMech terrain across here. These are great for adding an extra level to the board. But I'm looking for an even spread with these, so that wherever you set up on the table, it's generally even, generally fair, and there's no unfair advantages for anyone. Alright, so I've placed most of the pieces on the board. As mentioned about the gaps where tanks and vehicles and units can flow through. They can float around as well, so nothing is getting boxed in. I've tried to keep that the standard around the board. Across here, I've placed a statue on top there. You may see some of these pieces move, sort of change things around as you go along. But I'm videoing this, but to set a table up usually take me about 10-15 minutes, and then people say, well, it takes ages to pack down. It takes about the same to pack it down as well. So it's not too much effort. I really would encourage you to get into terrain. You can create some really thematic boards. It's so rewarding, and you can put all your effort into your army, and then when you play on a nice table, it just makes all the difference. So very much recommended. Try and get past any fear barriers and just go for it. And once you've got terrain, I've used this in dozens and dozens and dozens of games, and so your terrain really is rewarding. You put that effort in, and then you're able just to use it so many times. And also the process that I show you in the tutorials, it's fast, it's quick techniques, there's not much effort involved. A few hours can make a huge difference. And the thing is with Gamemat.eu terrain, it's pre-made, pre-painted for you, so you can use it as it comes straight out the box, or some finishing touches like I've done, and you've got yourself some great terrain. Not too much effort. So spread these around the table. Going for like a structure across here. I love joining all these sections together. So we've got like an upstairs level, great fun. So that's really good. You also get with the industrial terrain set the pipes. So those across there, which I've heaped up over in that corner as an extra structure. So those, I like to join those together. You can spread them around just to give a bit of structure to the board. There is a gap across here. I'm going to fill it out with some of the accessories just to build up the terrain further. So that's the main structures spread out across the board. Do those first, spread them out, stand back, look at the table, and if it looks good, then move on to the smaller stuff. So that's going to be smaller structures like this, these, which I'm going to use across here. Other great things for boards is the Munitorium containers. I'm going to bring some of those in from Games Workshop. Also got smaller accessories, such as my custom posters that I've made. I've got some AdMech ones here, I think, which look great. Little bits of extra terrain, some rusty industrial stuff will fit nicely on this board. And then chain link fences, walkways to span gaps like so. Very cool. Fences and the posters as well, which look great on top of structures and so on, like that. Now, posters, walkways, fences are all made from scratch, using the same materials and the same process. So I'll leave a link for the tutorial, I'll guide you through how to build these yourself. Again, don't be intimidated. I've been getting some feedback, people have been making these. And again, once you've got them, you can use them to span gaps. So useful. As you can see across there, all of a sudden this terrain piece, you've got a gap under here where vehicles and units can go underneath, and then you've got a stretch across there linking the two pieces together. So massive fan of these walkways. They're great fun to put together. And then if you get them right, then you've got some great accessories for your board. So link below for those. As I said before, once you have them, you can use them for loads of games going forwards. So I'm going to start placing these on the board. So the way I've placed some of the terrain, I've deliberately left gaps like this, knowing that I've got these walkways. And then the fence, I'm going to look for somewhere where I can make a little enclosure and put some ammunition and so on in there as well. And then I've got the pipes from Games Workshop, so there's some structures for it. And got a heap of pipes across here. Again, I'm going to look for gaps where I can run the pipes through. That'll really give this an industrial feel. Alright, so this table's filling out really well. You can see I've moved a few things around. I've moved this larger piece back, so I can put a walkway across there, and vehicles and so on can just go underneath. Just started to create little areas like this, so you can put the walkways flat on the ground, which I've done here. Added some boxes and barrels. And then one of these AdMech little machines. Used one of the posters on here. We use the posters to add a bit of height, and then we'll declare this as like obscuring terrain, just for the purposes of the game. And then it just marks out nicely, that anywhere where there's a container of a poster on top, we just play that as obscuring. I've added a bit of extra structure on top here to give me a bit of height, nice little focal point in the center of the board. In fact, I'll use one of these just to finish that off, like so. I've run some pipes through, very thematic here, really getting the industrial theme going with this. Some little accessories dotted around as well, just more industrial stuff. The bed, I've used a walkway to span across those two, and then put a Munitorium container on top. We can declare that as obscuring terrain as well. So I'm trying to look for areas of obscuring just nice and evenly spread out and across the board. So as you can see, that's filling out the table quite nicely. Starting to get little areas of interest, many stories taking place across here in different parts of the board as well. It's really adding to the theme. Next stage is smaller accessories, things like tank traps, these, are great just for blocking off areas on the board, but infantry and so on vehicles can still flow through, but a bit of terrain for them. Things like the barrels. And I've also got a set here of Imperial Casualties. And this will just really set the theme off on your table. So you can see these are so good. I'll leave a link for them in the video description below. I think you get like a pack of 20. They're a brilliant job. They're so easy to paint up as well. Just spray them grey. And then picking out some of the colours, a few washes over the top, and chip them up and they're done. And again, once you've got them, you can add some great narrative, some great theme to your tables, just with some casualties spread out across the board. So there's those finishing touches to add, and then I'll mention it now as one final thing. And that's stones and scatter. So I've got some stones that I got from the beach, keep them in a bag, like so. It comes with a pastel kind of colours, the ones that I picked up. I then actually took sprays that I used for the terrain and actually sprayed the stones in a tray, shook them around and kept spraying them with the different shades, red, browns and so on. And then they came out with this kind of colour and they match in just nicely with the board. So I don't evenly put stones all the way around, I'll just put them in areas up against the terrain. And I'm trying to bridge the gap between the 3D and the 2D nature of the mat. So these just act as like a bridge in between the two, just to add a further bit of realism. So I'm going to take a handful, I'll tuck them in there, just push the stones in, like so. But I'm not going to go evenly all the way around, I'm just doing little areas, just try and be as realistic as possible. But I'm going to add these accessories, the stones, the final accessories as well, like the tank traps and so on, and I'll be this board complete. Alright, so pretty much complete. In amongst those stones I throw in little tiny accessories, things like las guns, things like pieces of kit, hatches and so on. Spray them silver, rust them up and just throw them in. So when I scatter the stones, in amongst them is little bits of extra 40k accessories as well. If you go for these little details, you start to create very heavy narrative on the board. I've got a collection of casualties across here. I've got one of my wandering models here from the Imperial Fist, and I put one of the casualties like he's leading them across, trying to get to safety. Casualties down here. Also got some casualties around the statue. One of them's holding up a perishing guardsman at the foot of the statue. So very sort of narrative themed kind of stuff, which is the great thing you can do once you've got these accessories. You can pick and choose what you want to use. But that's giving you an idea, and it's showing you the stones. I haven't run the stones all the way along, just little patches here and there, generally tied it up. I don't want to spread and scatter all over here, but I'll just push some in. You can see I've used around the base of that building as well. Just those finishing touches, and it means you've got a table that's nicely merged in. So the terrain, the accessories, the mat are all merging together with the same colour scheme. Some stuff I've left out. The Munitorium containers with the green on them, I wanted to keep that out. I wanted to keep the rusty colours running through. So I kept those off the board. It looks like the table's looking pretty good. There's plenty of areas to move, but there's plenty of areas of terrain to hide and conceal the units as well. But that's how I set up my tables. When I break this thing down, I'll start with the biggest stuff first. So I'll clear away the big things, put those away in the big box, then the pipes and so on, and then pick out all the accessories, bag those all up. The final thing that's left is the stones. I take the corners of each part of the battle mat, lift them up, the stones all come into the middle, sweep them up, put them away into their bag, roll the mat up, and then store it away, and that's tidying up done. Again, it takes about 10-15 minutes, not too long at all. So hopefully you can remove any fear barriers that you have, get stuck into terrain. It's very rewarding, it's good fun to put together, and it's great to have as a backdrop for your games. Once you've got that terrain, you can use it for so many games going forwards as well. And then to help you along, Gamemat.eu will give you the foundation with the battle mat, pre-painted, pre-made terrain as well. Just gives you a massive head start. So it's not as daunting having to think, how am I going to build all this stuff from scratch? But now you've got terrain sets that you can unbox and use straight away. And if you want to enhance what you have, just check out the tutorials for the accessories for enhancing these structures and buildings as well. They're very straightforward, so you can follow those along and build your terrain collection. So that's the video. Hopefully that answers many of your questions, how I actually go about putting boards together. Keep a look out for more videos on the channel. Thanks for watching. Tune in next time.